Oh boy, a heavy topic. This game, it's dark, like real dark. Yes, we'll be talking about Spec Ops The Line today, a game development 2012 by Yager Development and published by 2K Games. I played this game a long time ago on my channel on 10 FPS. Yeah, and I was frustrated more about playing that game on 10 FPS than about the story, about what is happening and everything. So I was just like, oh, I never paid attention properly to it, did I? Okay, to put it simply, the game follows Captain Martin Walker as he's sent in this post-catastrophe Dubai with an elite Delta Force team on reconnaissance mission, where they find dead American soldiers. So upon finding them, Walker declares the team's mission has changed and they'll search Dubai for survivors. The game got a lot of praises and it was released for its narrative and themes, but it was also criticized for the multiplayer and very generic third-person gameplay. So let's just get into the gameplay first. Spec Ops: The Line is basically a third-person shooter. If I didn't already make it completely clear with the generic third-person shooting, its more basic emphasis was on cover-based shooting, and in single-player campaigns, the player controls Captain Martin Walker, who is basically accompanied by a Delta Force team to locate a deserted United States Army colonel called John Konrad, and other survivors as well, who are basically in this ruins of post-cataclysm Dubai. We're basically getting them extracted. To accomplish this goal, we, the player, must traverse the city to neutralize enemy threats and natural disasters. As the player progresses, we get better weapon, better equipment, and making our goal, it makes a goal basically easier to reach, I would say. Squad commands is also a thing that is available, basically, which gives sub players direct commands to take down an enemy or to flashbang an enemy. So those are two actions that I only remember. Oh yeah, we can also heal the players. Those are the actions that are here. So unlike traditional shooters that we know, where most games are played on a horizontal plane, Spec Ops: The Line is basically much more of a vertical movement. Yeah, it's hard to explain. It's very janky in that way, I would say. Anyways, ziplines and rappels allow for players to move up or down, as well as jumping and climbing. And enemies attack from all sides, so players will need to be on their toes when playing. You asked me what difficulty I play on. I started veteran and moved to normal because I just did not like the jankiness of the game, so I just went for normal mode because veteran was a bit too hard on that. I could have completed on veteran mode because I played like 9 chapters on veteran mode, and there are like 18 chapters, I think so. 8 included if you're going for cooperative, but I just couldn't with that very weird jankiness, because there's this one stage where you really get messy down the line and it just doesn't work out with this jankiness out there. So I just played on normal difficulty like I should have done and not frustrated myself for like a whole week. Anyways, let's talk also okay, let's also talk about multiplayer mode, which is included as well. So Yager, the company who developed this game, describes the multiplayer as a campaign that expands on a single player experience. I didn't play the multiplayer game. I did not have anybody to play a multiplayer game more like, so I just went meh, whatever. So in addition, there are multiple modes that we can focus on, which should basically have a very unique concept of terrain reformation and expansion. So that's surprising, considering at that time there were not many games which did that. And the gameplay also focuses on natural sandstorms of Dubai to provide dynamic terrain during gameplay, similar to something like Fracture or Red Faction. I don't know much about Fracture, but Red Faction I know a lot about. So like Red Faction, I did play Red Faction a lot, not a lot, but I played it like halfway through, I would say. So that's why I know a lot about Red Faction. So this is basically supported by an unpredictable engine that randomizes when and where sandstorms will arise, as well as how harsh they'll be. Sandstorm makes it much harder to see, as well as having the players become less steady while aiming. So this can be used to tactical advantage to set up ambush for players who are trying to escape and stuff. Anyways, this was basically the gameplay we're talking about. I also want to mention guns and what guns we get and where we get and everything like that. Not where we get, but more like how, what are the guns and what are my favorites and everything. So I also decided to let's talk about the guns in the game as well. There are a bunch of guns in the game and I like it. When there are a lot of guns in the game, I like that game because I'm a freak to use all the guns. Except for this one game that I'm playing currently, and it's Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, which is totally a mess. I don't even think so I'm gonna complete the game because I'll talk about it in that video. But we're talking about Spec Ops line. Let's talk about it. So, let's talk about the weapons of the game. Both basically the primary weapons and secondary weapons are. You can equip any of them honestly. Like it doesn't matter if it's a shotgun, the secondary slot, or a pistol, or a sniper. Doesn't matter. You can get whichever you want. Basically, it's that type of game. Yeah. So first we go talk about the assault rifles which are in the game. So for assault rifles we get AK-47, which is pretty obvious. It's like one of the first assault rifles we get. AK-74U is only available in the multiplayer mode. M4A1 is something we start off with and is also something that can be attached to the silencer. Now every gun basically has a secondary mode, if I'm correct, except for like one or two guns. I just can't remember which guns they are. But AK-47 has burst mode. AK-74 I never used because it's only available in multiplayer. M4A1 is a silencer mode. TAR-21 is a weapon that's also available in multiplayer mode and the weapon which Lugo uses in this game. FAMAS has the scope mode, I believe, which you can use, and OTS-14 is another gun which is found in multiplayer mode, so I don't know much about it. It's basically TAR-21 but in multiplayer mode. Scar-H is a gun we have, and Scar-H gives us grenade launcher as a secondary thingy. And 417, I don't remember what 417 does because I use it so less. It's just whatever to me. Because the thing is, I like using scoped assault rifles, okay? But here's the thing, if I'm getting scarce ammo on that specific gun, I would rather not use those guns, right? Instead, I would use something like M4A1 or AK-47 most of the time because those are the guns that I got most ammos for. No, I did use FAMAS a lot because I loved FAMAS. I don't know, there's something about FAMAS that is just like, even when I'm playing CS, I know it's not the best gun, but I really like using FAMAS. It's just so much fun to use FAMAS. I don't know, it's just something about the gun just hits it right. The gun I least liked out of was, like I said, 417, because it's just the ammo is scarce for that gun and just so less that I just don't prefer using that in this game because it's just campaign though. I'm not talking multiplayer. It will be a totally different experience in multiplayer. I didn't play multiplayer like I said, but the campaign, yeah, 417, I just didn't have enough ammo for this. Moving on, we got submachine guns. Submachine guns, we have UMP-45, Micro 9mm, P90, Vector SMG, and MP7. Now, other weapons, Vector SMG and MP7 are only multiplayer exclusive weapons, and others are in game, basically in the campaign. While I did like using P90, the ammo was just scarce again, and the weapon is only available at the end of the game, which is kind of frustrating because by the time I actually get P90 to use and the ammo to use it, I already have better gun. And I'll get to that. The game really doesn't do the gun justice because that's a really fun gun to use. It doesn't matter which game I'm playing because P90 has that quick fire rate which I just love in an SMG, right? And so I never got to use this weapon anyways. But now we'll go talk about the shotgun, and the available shotguns for us in the game is one M1014, AA12, W1300, and Mossberg 590. The only shotgun that is not really available during the campaign is Mossberg 590. Other than every shotgun is just fun to use, honestly, because I'm a shotgun guy again. I love using shotguns. But the AA12 is so good. It was probably my favorite gun in the game. Sad part is I only get to use it at the end, like the last chapter, like chapter 14 or something like that. I only get to use it then, and it's really not fun if I just get to use it for one mission, baby. I want it for all the other missions. It's just so fun to use. The radius of blast that it just does is just crazy good. And shotguns are a bit more realistic because even if you shoot somebody from far away, it does get them a lot of damage. While in a lot of first-person shooters, we have been told that shotgun in close range is really powerful. That is not true. Shotgun in long range is also pretty powerful. So that's pretty realistic to what they try to go with over here. Though when they're armored dudes, it doesn't matter if it's close range or it doesn't matter if you're long range, because close range only does the most damage. Anyways, moving to the next one, there's only one light machine gun in the game, which is M249 LMG, and it carries about 100 ammo. That's about it. You also get to use that in 3 or 4 chapters accumulated. So I just get a chance. Whenever I get a chance, I use it because it's 100 ammo. Who's gonna waste 100 ammo? Okay, come on. There are 5 handguns in the game, and those are M9, Desert Eagle, 44 Magnum, G18, P220, and FNP45. Out of these, G18, P220, FNP45 are all multiplayer exclusive weapons. Though using the Desert Eagle is just fun as every shooter. M9 is a basic gun, it just doesn't it's alright for the start, but after that I used it for a single chapter. I just did not feel the same vibe from Magnum or Desert Eagle. .44 Magnum is available for 1 chapter, but dude, it's such a cool gun to use. The only issue I have with it is just has 6 bullets and the reload speed is atrocious, so I just threw it away. On the other hand, Desert Eagle though, holy shit, the last 4 or 5 chapters that you play in the game, you got Desert Eagle. Go crazy with that shit. Anyways, moving on to the 6th weapon type, and that's Sniper. Sniper weapon types has 4 weapons: the Scout Tactical, MSG-90, M110, and M99 Sniper. Usually, I love snipers, but man, this game's snipers are not so fun. As for what weapon are unavailable for campaign, they are M110 and M99 Sniper. Now you guys will be asking me, why are the snipers not fun? It's too shaky, man. Like, even if I try to like balance it out right with my breathing and everything, crouch shooting and everything that this game recommends me, it's too shaky. The sniper is way too shaky for me to use. I can't use it properly if it's just that much shaky. Usually I love the unrealistic thing about the sniper. I know this game tries to be really realistic with all the shooting and everything, but I love the unrealistic stuff with the sniper, where the shit is not shaky and I can just shoot wherever I want. Even though I miss like at least 50% of times, I can shoot wherever I want because of how unshaky the sniper is. But here the sniper is just very shaky and I just don't like it. Well, moving on, there are launchers which can be used as primary weapons as well. The RPG-7, FN, MK13, MGL-140, and M120 mortar. Out of these, M120 mortar is used in a cutscene, which we'll talk about later. It's a really brutal one. As for the FN, MK13 is not available in the campaign. It's only a multiplayer exclusive. Now, obviously, MGL-140 and RPG-7 are really cool. MGL with grenade launcher, and RPG is obviously rocket launcher. So those are the weapons that you usually use, can be used as primary weapon. You don't get them as much, but you get to use them like 3 or 4 times, and it's really satisfying, so I'm not gonna complain. Anyways, moving on, we got the heavy machine guns. The only heavy machine gun in this that is not available, I would say, is M2A2, I think so. It's not available in the campaign, but GM134, which is an available gun in the starting section of the game, where you use the machine gun on a chopper. That's GM134, and M2E2 HMG is available throughout the game, where enemies use it, we also get to use it. It's the basic brown HMG that we get. Moving on, the last weapon type we're going to talk about is the explosives. The explosives is C4, flashbang, frag grenade, proximity mine, and sticky grenade. C4 basically makes its appearance in the campaign once, but isn't usable on the other hand. And proximity mine is never seen in the campaign, so I don't know much about it. Frag grenades are very much scattered around, and same goes for sticky grenades. Flashbang is also pretty much scattered around, so it's not a scarcity thing for them. You can find grenades everywhere. I was never out of grenades or anything like that, so it's really fine to have grenades with you. And don't forget to use the grenades because they are really good. That's why I never had any grenades when they were like important fights. Yeah. So now that we got all the weapons out of the way, it's time to delve deeper into the big setting, story, and plot of the game. This is the heavy topic I was talking about because the plot of the game is pretty dark. Alright, let's begin with the setting. It takes 6 months prior to the game. The worstest of a series of dust storms is recorded in history in the recorded history began across Dubai in United Arab Emirates, which obviously is UAE. Dubai's politicians and wealthy elite downplayed the situation before evacuating in secret, leaving countless Emiratis behind. What am I saying? Colonel, I'm just gonna call him John Konrad. English is a hard language. The recorded but PTSD troubled commander of the damned 33rd Battalion, United States Army, was returning home with his unit from Afghanistan from storm struck. Konrad volunteered the 33rd Battalion to help the relief efforts, then deserted with the entire unit when ordered to abandon the city and its refugee by the United States government. As the storm intensified, a massive storm will engulfed Dubai for miles, disrupting any satellite surveillance and communication, air travel, and all the strongest radio broadcasts. The 33rd declared martial law and struggled to maintain order amid 80 mph winds, riots, and dwindling resources. The last communication of Dubai stated that the 33rd was attempting to lead a caravan of more than 1,000 civilians out of the city. The caravan never arrived, and soon afterwards the UAE declared Dubai a no man's land. All travel to the city was barred, the 33rd was publicly disavowed for treason, and no further news left the city. 2 weeks from beginning of the game, a mysterious looped radio signal penetrated the wall. Its message was brief. This is Colonel John Konrad. United States Army attempted evacuation of Dubai ended in complete failure. That told too many. The United States military decides to covertly send in 3-man Delta Force team to carry out reconnaissance. The team consisted of Delta operators Captain Walker, Lieutenant Adam, and Sergeant Lugo are told to confirm the status of Konrad and any survivors, then radio for extraction. This is basically the setting, the premise of the game. Now I made a lot of mistakes, forgive me. Sometimes I'm just that bad at reading stuff, okay? This is the setting of the game. So you get the whole gist of the thing, like there's this Colonel. Why am I messing up? I said it early on, I was right about saying the word, but now I'm messing it up. I'm just gonna call it. So we know about this guy named John Konrad. He's basically he's sent to this place with the 33rd Battalion Army to evacuate the citizens and stuff, but then he just martial lawed the place and basically he behaved as a traitor, and in terms of treason he was just there for no reason. Anyways, all that aside, UAE is in trouble. We have to find out John Konrad since we got the signal and everything. Now we talk about the story of the game, that we know the settings and everything, what happened before we arrived here and everything. And the story basically begins with Delta operatives Walker, Adam, and Lugo flying a helicopter past the skyscrapers of Dubai, shooting down several pursuing helicopters until the sandstorm forms, causing one of the pursuers to spin out of control and crash into the trio. So this is the future. We'll go into the past now. So in the present day, Walker, Adams, and Lugo traversed the storm wall through to the outskirts of a mostly buried Dubai on foot. Is it foot? They later come into contact with a group of armed survivors referred as insurgents. The insurgents have apparently renewed conflict with what remains of the damned 33rd and have captured a squad of 33rd soldiers and take them to a former hotel called the Nest. Throughout the rest of the journey, the team hears a broadcast on a homemade speaker by the radio man, a former journalist turned DJ that was once embedded in with the 33rd in Afghanistan, now speaks on that behalf. As the journey progresses, the team finds evidence of what happened in Dubai over the preceding months. From what they can tell, an unstable Konrad and the 33rd Battalion returned to Dubai as an occupying force after his evacuation failed, apparently to rule over the remaining survivors. Soon, increasingly harsh atrocities against civilians were committed to intimidate the population. Elements of the 33rd stage a coup d'etat. What did I just say? That's not how you say it. Oh my god, I'm making so many mistakes today. What is wrong with me? Against Konrad in protest, forming the Exiles. The CIA has been organizing the insurgents to attack both Conrad's Stellaris 33rd and the exiles as a distraction, while Grey Fox tried to eliminate the evidence of Conrad's action within the city. Barbaric acts of abolition, torture, and execution by death squads are common on all sides throughout the city. Although there is no clear evidence against Conrad's virtue, Conrad once saved our Captain Walker's life in Kabul during the war. This makes Walker biased in favor of Conrad. So, if it isn't clear by now, Conrad is basically a man, and Walker still is very biased towards Conrad just because he saved his life. Conrad saved Walker's life, who we are playing as. Okay? So, through all this, we know that Conrad is a bad guy, but it just gets messier every second after that. We'll continue on reading of what goes on next. The team comes across the nest refugees being rounded up by a platoon of Stellaris 33rd. They attempt to intervene peacefully, but the soldiers mistake them for CIA operatives and begin firefight. 33rd take heavy casualties and retreat with a number of civilian prisoners. Disturbed at their killing of fellow Americans, Lugo and Adams repeatedly urge Walker to leave to bind contract command. Walker insists on investigating further in hopes of evacuating survivors and fighting Conrad. Now you see what the problem is. Walker is also a man. In any normal situation, you would just go back and tell what is happening here in Dubai, but instead Walker is like, you know what, I want to investigate even further. We are just gonna go in and investigate even further and know more about stuff. That's where the problem begins. You're going against a whole ass country, 3 of you guys. That is not right. Anyways, moving on with the story. The team learns of another CIA agent, Thomas Daniels, who has been captured by the 33rd. His interrogation is busted by the radio man, which allows Lugo to trace the signal, prompting Delta to head towards the site as well. There they find mutilated and long dead bodies of Daniels. The broadcast was a trap set by the radio man for another CIA agent, Rick Gold. Leading a band of insurgents, Ghoul helps Delta escape from ambush, but is later captured by the 33rd and his men are killed. The player then chooses to save Ghoul or save a couple of civilians near Ghoul position. So here's the first morale choice you actually have. Well, here's the thing. No matter what action the player chooses, Ghoul is killed, but an operations plan found on his body directs to Delta to the gate at 33rd base. So doesn't matter if you choose to save the civilians or kill Ghoul, it doesn't matter. In the end, what is going to happen is Ghoul is going to die, the civilians are going to die. So the only good thing is that we find a plan on his body which basically directs us towards the gate, and it's the 33rd base apparently. So assuming that Ghoul intended to take the gate from the 33rd, Walker and his men arrive at the gate to press the attack, only to find a full company of 33rd soldiers guarding the entrance. An abandoned 33rd mortar loaded with white phosphorus is found nearby. Lugo objects to using the mortar as the team has been in grisly effects on the 33rd's previous victims, but Adams and Walker overrule Lugo and fire the mortar. The phosphorus strike completely obliterates the company. Okay, here is the heavy topic. I think so this was the controversial take on the game when it came out, right? Nowadays we can see like blood, gore and everything in a game. Back then this would be really controversial for what happened there, because we are these US army people trying to save people and everything, right? And now you're using white phosphorus, which is a very dangerous chemical and everything. So I'll just read for them more before explaining how I felt while playing this game, this specific mission, about what happens. As Delta walks through aftermath, a mortally injured soldier that the team finds within the blast zone questions the slaughter, saying 33rd only wanted to help. To the team's horror, they find that 33rd had taken civilians from the nest to the gate, only for their own safety in the coming battles. 47 charred corpses, many of them women and children, are found in a fenced-off section of the entrance. Lugo realizes that Ghoul never intended to take the gate, but only wanted to free the civilians. Walker shows no remorse, putting the blame entirely on the 33rd and pushes the others on despite their obvious anger and trauma. This scene is such a, I don't know how to put it, such a traumatic experience for anybody playing this game for the first time, because usually the game you are pictured as a hero, you are somebody who's pictured as playing the good guy, somebody who wants to help people, somebody who wants to get past this, especially in a game where you're trying to like evacuate civilians and stuff, right? You're always shown to be this goody two shoes, and now you're using white phosphorus, which is such a dangerous chemical that it can basically board anybody. And all I can see is that we are the ones slaughtering people over here. We are the actual villains. Especially the way the scene is depicted of this burnt woman carrying a burnt child is just so, I don't know, it makes me feel really sad because I never wanted this. I don't even have a choice. If I had a choice, I wouldn't have done that, but the game doesn't even let you choose anything over here. Just like, okay, you gotta fire this. It's pretty sad, like how it happens, and it's never in your hand that this happens, and it really takes a toll on you when you play this game. And again, this is my second time playing, so I knew this was coming in, but it still had the same effect it had the first time around. So yeah, that's crazy part of the game, because a lot of scenes in this game depict somewhat the same situation that we're talking about now. It's rough, very rough. Moving on. Shortly after, Delta find Konrad's executed command team. Walker uses a small radio to find inside the gate to communicate with whom he believes taunts to be Konrad himself. Throughout the story, Konrad questions the morality of Walker's actions as tension rise between the team, making Walker adjust his beliefs that Konrad is innocent. Soon, Konrad comes across... not Konrad, Walker. Soon, Walker comes across two men tied to the bridge with sniped positions of all sides. Konrad tells Walker the two are an Emirati survivor and a 33rd soldier, who both committed serious crimes. The survivor stole water, which was a capital offense, and the soldier arrested him, killing the survivor's family in the process. Konrad's order was then to pick one to execute. Walker can shoot either at a criminal or Konrad's snipers above. Regardless of Walker's decision, Lugo and Adams question Walker's mental state as he urges them towards Konrad's most likely vantage point, Dubai Seaside Tower. Now, this is a fictional building in game. So yeah, moving on, me obviously being the guy, I chose to kill the snipers because I obviously am not going to kill those two survivors, and then we move on. Along the way, Delta finds Agent Riggs leading a raid on the Dubai underwater aquatic Coliseum, the city's last main water supply. Riggs tells Delta that insurgent control of the water will cripple the 33rd's operation in Dubai and bring peace, but only if they aid him. When the water trucks the group sees fail to break free of the 33rd's defenses, Riggs intentionally crashes them. After recovering, Walker hears a broadcast from Radio Man declaring that Dubai is now under martial law. He then comes across a mortally wounded Riggs, who explains that he wanted to destroy the water supply no matter the cost by manipulating the insurgents. Knowledge of the 33rd dig in Dubai would cause the whole region to declare war on the United States in retaliation, a war which America would lose. Riggs admits that he wanted to cause the remaining population to die of dehydration to ensure the 33rd's atrocities would never be known. The player can choose to kill Riggs or let him burn alive. I think that's the best punishment for him. Watch him burn alive. Now there's another thing. There's another tough choice to make. Well, not a tough choice, but Riggs and killing him. It's obvious. We are going to kill him either way. I'm going to watch him burn alive, obviously. But the tough choice here is like you have to side with Riggs no matter what. I don't want to side with Riggs, but I have to side with Riggs because freaking Riggs is such a backstabber, and we knew it since we entered the place, the safe zone that Riggs is in. We know that, and yet we side with him for some reason. It's so obvious that he's gonna backstab you by the way he talks, by the way he explains stuff, by the way he's just not giving us enough information. It's not something that you want. You want to make sure that people are alive, they're surviving. You don't want to make sure that people are dying, and that's what usually first person shooters taught me, right? Like, you are the hero, you're supposed to make sure that people are alive. You're not supposed to make sure that the survivors in this post-apocalyptic world are dying. And this game does the opposite, and well, this is gonna cause the survivors to die of dehydration because we don't have water now. So we'll move on now. Reuniting with Adam and Lugo, with Dubai's population facing extinction within days, Delta heads to Trans Emirates building to silence the radio man and warn the city. As the journey progresses, all three men gradually become edgier and more violent. I mean, that's obvious. They are going through such trauma, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. Walker begins suffering from vivid hallucinations as they fight to the top of the building. Delta finds Radio Man, who is calm and surrenders peacefully. Lugo and Radio Man set up the signal for Walker before Lugo executes the Radio Man. Adams is furious at Lugo for being so brash, while Lugo feels that Radio Man was keeping the 33rd on their trail the whole time and would not let them leave alive. So it was an obvious, the Radio Man is dead because Lugo is losing it as well. Basically everybody is losing it. Adams pretends to be calm, but we also know that Adams is losing it. So moving on to the next point. As the 33rd converges on the building, Walker informs the city of Delta's planned evacuation effort. Adam commandeers a UH-60 Blackhawk helicopter for Delta, and Walker destroys the radio tower as they flee the scene, leading to the helicopter sequence from the opening of the game, which surprisingly Walker remembered. We have that fourth wall break where it's like, shit, not again. Anyways, after the aforementioned crash, Konrad appears to a disoriented Walker, chastising him about the failures and the weaknesses. While awakening from the illusion, Walker is contacted by Adams, who informs him that Lugo is out of contact. Walker and Adams regroup at the crash site and contact Lugo, who has no weapon and has a broken arm after the crash. Walker and Adams fight their way through enemy lines in hopes of reaching Lugo before 33rd can. Despite their efforts, Walker and Adams are too late to stop Lugo from being lynched by a mob of citizens, angered at the Americans' destruction of the water supply. When the attempts to resuscitate, I'm just gonna say resurrect. When the attempts to resurrect Lugo fail, Adams requests permission to open fire on the crowd. So we have the choice to scare the crowd or kill them in retribution. Lugo was our buddy, I killed him. Because as much as morally good that choice is, one of our characters died. One of our main characters. And that really pissed me off at that time because I was just like, what? How can you? Now, you can scare them off by shooting in the air and they're just gonna go away. But killing them is just, I don't know, it's just throwing out your anger, I guess, at them. And that actually calms down the squad somehow. But it doesn't calm me down because Lugo isn't gonna come back. He's dead. He's dead. So we know that Lugo is dead now, and Walker is just, he's still pretty calm, surprisingly enough, after all of that. The one who's really pissed off is Adams, and I'm not really surprised by that fact because Adams is very emotional. He has been controlling Lugo's emotions, but he's been emotionally traumatized as well, and this is getting worse for him. On the other hand, Walker, our main character, is not even surprised. I wonder why, which is why we're gonna move on. Afterwards, Walker and Adams make their way to the Dubai seaside town to confront Konrad. Walker's hallucinations are nearly constant at this point, and Adams completely blames Walker for Lugo's death, but goes along with his reasoning that Konrad also deserves to die. The two are surrounded by last remnants of Konrad's army. Walker, who surrenders to get access inside the tower, is pushed to safety by Adams, who fights to the death against the 33rd, very grieving and on the brink of death. Walker stumbles to the entrance of the tower. Upon entering, Walker is saluted by remnants of 33rd who surrendered to him. I'm just going to read the next point as well, and then I'll get to what this whole thing is all about. Walker demands to know where Konrad is, and is directed to Konrad's penthouse. Walker arrives at the penthouse of the tower without incident and confronts Konrad. Konrad appears to be paranoid, charismatic force behind the atrocities that Walker was hoping for, until Walker finds his decaying corpse on the penthouse deck. Walker learns that Konrad committed KMS, I'm not going to say that word, has unknown amount of time after his failed evacuation attempt, and Konrad that Walker has been in contact with during the game is actually a traumatic hallucination that none of his team witnessed, existing only in his subconsciousness. The mental projection of Konrad appears to Walker, explaining that Walker knew he had the chance of stopping, but he pushed ahead out of desire to be something that he isn't, a hero. To maintain his sanity after the white phosphorus strike and rationalizing actions he carried out, Walker distorted many subsequent events of the game to make Konrad look responsible. Had Delta originally left Dubai at the beginning of the event, each subsequent event may have turned out for the better. With his fantasies coming to an end now, the truth is directly in front of him. Konrad forces Walker at gunpoint to decide once and for all whether he's to be blamed for his actions in Dubai, which leads to 4 endings. Now, this is the point I was talking about, the ending of the game. First time when I played this game, this is something I was not expecting. Nada. This came out of nowhere to me because the whole point of this game was to show that we are not a hero. Even normal people have traumatic experiences, and even normal people can hallucinate traumatic experiences that they're having. The white phosphorus strike that we just did, that is where everything changed for us. The white phosphorus strike is when Walker really lost it all, and that was the point of the game which we can't do anything about. I also mentioned at the start of the video that, that Walker should have just left when he came to know that this whole place is like under CIA and everything, and there's a chance that Konrad is alive and everything, and the evacuation team is needed to be sent or some stuff like that. Everybody was talking about it. Even Adams, even Lugo said that they should get out of there, but Walker pressed on like an idiot. Yeah, because he wanted to be a hero. That is his desire. That is his greed. He wanted to be a hero, and because he couldn't be a hero, to maintain this sanity that he's losing every second that he spends in this dystopian land, he blames everything on a made-up Konrad. Konrad never contacted him. Konrad never had any issues with him. Konrad never even said anything to him. It was all in his head, and that just basically shows how much this game's story writing was better in senses. While I will criticize the gameplay, it's very generic. The story writing in the game has definitely, it just gets worse and worse in a good way, because it's really dark. It really shows the traumatic experience a soldier goes through, and when somebody wants to be a hero, it doesn't go always in their favor. You can't be a 3-man army and fight against a whole ass country which you're trying to fight against. Anyways, the game has 4 endings, like I said, and there are endings that lead in both ways. One is Walker can shoot at Konrad's projection, or he can shoot at himself. There are 2 ways to lead to different endings. Then I'll talk about the KMS ending first, which is basically allowing Konrad to pull the trigger or shooting Walker's reflection. This will cause Walker in reality to commit KMS, and his dead body is shown settle against Konrad's, while Konrad's original broadcast plays as the camera pans over the burning remnants of Dubai. So yeah, pretty grim ending, and really it's just a really sad ending, sad way for Walker to go away. So shooting Konrad on the other hand, this results in shooting Konrad's reflection basically will end the Konrad dying and telling Walker that he can still go on home. The 33rd Zulu squad soldiers from downstairs come up asking Walker that what to do. Walker turns around to find both the soldiers and Konrad's body have disappeared, and Walker uses Konrad's radio to request an immediate evacuation of Dubai. Then we go into an epilogue where after credits roll, some army soldiers come in a Humvee to rescue Walker, who is sitting alone in his desert wearing Konrad's uniform and brandishing an AA-12. So we are given the choice to drop the weapon or fight. A second down will result in a difficult firefight. So what does kill the patrol do, you ask? If Walker kills the entire patrol, he'll radio US command and welcome them to Dubai, or the now clear airways. Walker then heads back into the remnants of the Dubai as the camera pans to the wide shot of the ruined city. Basically, Walker becomes the martial law that he was talking about and everything. So yeah, he becomes the villain of the series, or the game. Let's say it's not a series; it's a game. It's a series. There are other Spec Ops games, but none of these are connected. So yeah. So what happens if you die by the hands of patrols? The attack will cut short to a shot of Walker lying in a pool of blood. Remember a conversation between himself and Konrad during the war. Real fighting in Kabul worsened. As his dying body is being watched by patrol, Walker remembers casually remarking about returning home. Konrad had replied that there was no way men like him could. Yeah, another grim ending. And if we surrender to the patrol will evacuate with Walker. A soldier remarks that unit has driven through the whole city looking for Walker, often coming across the results of players' actions. When questioned how he survived, Walker replied, "Who said I did?" The player can select the key to lay down the weapon, but doing nothing will also result in this option. So, here's the thing, right? Out of the 4 endings that we get, right, there's 6 different things that happen, obviously, but I consider these 4 the endings, KMS ending, and then these 3. First of all, I think, as much as I want to say, the least grim ending of this game is killing the patrols. It just makes you a proper villain, because if you look at it, if we die, there's a very grim ending. With that, KMS is a very grim ending, and then if we surrender as well, Walker is just walking off with PTSD, and he's most probably now recovering and retiring from his shit as his command. So in the end, all of this has just been a pretty bad trip, pretty grim trip for Walker with his squad. His squad isn't alive. He's the last surviving member, and he's had very traumatic experience just hallucinating everything. Ah, boy. Let's just move on, because Spec Ops The Line is a game that has some crazy stuff going on with it. Will you have fun playing it? Yeah, if you aren't squeamish and love reading or playing dog stories, yeah, it might be fun for you. Though if you're squeamish and want something lighthearted, this game isn't for you. Game goes deep into your psychology and morality of you not being able to do anything. There's literally nothing you can do in some of these scenarios where you wished you could take actions. Well, you can't. The game is morally questionable and question your choices throughout the game even when you don't have one. It makes you look like a villain and make you feel like a villain, and that just makes it like an actual villain. It makes you feel like an actual villain. It just makes you feel bad for everything that is happening. It had a very well dealt story going on in the back, but I'll say this, the game itself is not so fun to play. The gameplay gets boring after a certain amount of time because of how generic the shooting is, and I haven't tried the multiplayer, but from what I have heard, it's just not that great. I'll say this, if you want to buy this game for cheap, yeah, go for it, but if it's expensive, don't. Well, you can have fun with the story because that is the main aspect of the game. I enjoyed this genre and completed it for the 2nd time now. I will probably be away from the game for quite some time because this game gives me trauma every time I play it. But hopefully down the years I can come back to another video saying whether the game is still aborted in the next few years or not. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. What is my next video gonna be? Most probably gonna be Resident Evil 4 because it's the most Resident Evil game that I played the most. I completed that game at least 30 to 40 times now, and I'm well versed in the game, and I just want to do a video on that game as well. I most probably will do Resident Evil 4, not the remake, the original. We'll also make the remake at some point, because I have completed that game on my channel if you guys want to check it out. But yeah, what are videos coming out this month? Most probably Resident Evil 4. I'm working on the Prince of Persia video. I think so that is gonna be another one of the videos that I want to work on this month, and most probably by the end of the month, I am most probably, no promises, I will complete Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. No promises on that though. If I find a better game that I want to play, well, not a better game, I'll put this like I'll find a more quicker game that I can complete than Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, because that takes a whole week. So yeah, I'll play that game in case. On the other hand, Grim Dawn, I don't know when that is coming, maybe next month, maybe the month after. Grim Dawn is in a bit of a weird situation where I am like playing up and down with it. Whenever I get time, I level up, I progress with the game and stuff like that. Other than that, Grim Dawn has not found much progress for me, because until I level up a few more levels, I can't really do progress. What's my level currently? I think it was 55 or something like that as of today. I really gained a lot, so yeah. Anyways, pick up the line. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Comment down in the below. Comment down in the below. Okay. I would like you guys to comment me if you guys want me to play any other games in future, because I am out of games right now and I'm just trying to find any kind of game that you guys want me to review on. Something that's quick. I would prefer the more famous RPG titles that I know of, because, or least on RPG titles, maybe 10 hours or so of gameplay will be fine for me, but more than that I need to find time to complete games like that. That's why I say like something like 10 hours or more, or less, I mean. Yeah, that is all I got for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. This was a longer video than I was expecting it to be, but it was worth it doing this video, because I wanted to talk about Spec Ops The Line. I also played on my new PC, because I played this on my old PC where I used to get 10 FPS playing this game, and it was frustrating because of my potato PC back then. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Next time around, I will see you in the next video. I don't know which video that will be, but I already told you 3 games I most probably will be focusing on. It will be one of those games. Until next time, boys. Peace out.